Association for Critical Thinking. Our goal is to educate people, to expand people's minds, and certainly that's a goal of Community College of Philadelphia as well. And we really appreciate them hosting our events, and Dr. David Kittel, chair of the physics department, who arranges that for us. It's a good day. Ben Franklin was born on January 17th. He was a scientist, a free thinker. Today you're going to be hearing from Eric Krieg, a former president of FACT, founder of FACT. He's an electrical engineer by training, and he's a tireless fighter for good science. When I first joined FACT, I was impressed with Eric. I mean, as you'll hear about, an individual named Dennis Lee, who promotes free energy, has sued Eric, I think multiple times. Now, most of us would hate that in life. We would hate some frivolous lawsuit. Eric relishes it because he can fight Dennis, and he's learned enough about law to even represent himself. So very impressive. Again, soon after I joined FACT, they got me to attend a session in the, used to be called the Core State Spectrum, by one of these free energy people, Dennis Lee. And they said, oh, you have to go. It's a cross between Home Shopping Network, professional wrestling, and Jim Baker, who was a TV preacher. And it was an accurate characterization. I mean, they came out, they had so many devices they were selling, and then there were big, muscular guys walking around, and then every so often they would stop and pray. So it was a very correct representation. Next month, February 22nd, we're going to have Dr. Alan Mann. He's a former professor from UPenn, currently a professor of anthropology at Princeton, and he's going to be talking on the scars of evolution. And then in March, we're going to have Deborah Veritas, better known online as the Science Babe, and she's going to discuss a non-stop skeptic in a believer's world. You can follow FACT in many ways on Facebook, YouTube, meetup.com, and Twitter, as well as on the web. And with that, I'll turn it over to our speaker.
There's been, yesterday, two fairly big news events that really kind of lead right into my talk. Does anyone know what they are? Relating to the Earth? One, two, yeah.
The temperature, the most hot this year.
2014 is barely the highest average temperature, not necessarily put around here, recorded for the planet. The other one is another thing I haven't fully digested, that of 9 indicators that indicate our survivability of the species, there's 4 that are in jeopardy. So it's not just carbon in the atmosphere, there's other things, runoff issues, and there are some serious problems that have to be addressed on the planet. And to younger people, I'd like to apologize on behalf of all the older gray-haired people that all the easy-to-get resources, we already took them out of the earth. And there's messes that we've left behind. So you'll have to embrace science all the more to clean that up and get the more difficult resources out there. So it's all the more reason to have to learn. But relating to the damage on the planet, can anyone tell me the 3 leading sources of our energy? What are the 3 big things that we get our energy from? Just call them out. Coal's the biggest one, I believe. Oil is probably the next biggest.
Natural gas.
I kind of include that with oil.
Water.
Okay.
I think
sun.
nukes. I don't know exactly. But on all of those, the very worst is coal, because people die making big holes in the ground, digging up all kinds of stuff to get it out. When you burn it, there's toxic stuff that goes in the atmosphere, including chemicals, carbon, and radioactive material. Then you're left with fly ash, with heavy metals and mercury that leach into the water. It's thought that 500,000 people die a year just from using this awful stuff to get most of our energy. Fossil fuel is not much better. In fact, we pay huge amounts of money to countries that tend to hate us for a poison that's it's pretty much killing us all. And nuclear power, although I personally like it more than the aforementioned things, you look at Chernobyl, Fukushima, and the fact that some people want to use it as a weapon to finish Hitler's work. Yeah, microphone. I'll just project. So imagine, if you will, what if we had some wonderful way to make low-cost energy with no fuel or no problem at all? That everyone could have a box in your home, that everything that you need to heat your house or to get energy could come from something that scientists like many of our members and engineers like me have just overlooked, something that the jealous power company does not want you to know about. Just picture what that would do. We'd have a wonderful, cleaner world. Our economy would take off because we wouldn't have to pay this expensive cost for everything. It would usher in a golden new age. And lots of people have been working on this. First, 1,000 years ago with perpetual motion, and then modern day over unity motors. My job, as David said, is I'm an electrical engineer. I work on real science and technology, equipment of mine, laser, fiber optics, satellite, industrial control stuff. It's all over the world. Lately, I just happen to be working on devices like this that cost around $20,000 that the National Testing and Standards Board uses for calibrating electrical power measurements. So I just kind of became an expert in that. I don't know chemical energy, nuclear technology. I'm not real up on that, but I do know electricity. And the history of this kind of stuff dates back 1,000 years ago. This is a common thing people ask me about. If this would work, what is the name for the term of what would power this? Well, air pressure, or actually, the answer I was looking for is capillary action. And this is a classic case of the fallacy occurs right here. Because whenever you have something that attracts something else, like capillary action attracts something else, you need the same force to pull it out again. So capillary action, you need up there just as much energy. And energy comes from all different kinds of sources. I have chemical energy going on right now, keeping me alive, making me do stuff. There's heat energy that I'm radiating out right now. If I move, I'm having kinetic energy to move. If I go from this position to this position, I now have more gravitational potential energy. So just using myself, there's a lot of forms of energy. There's also magnetic and electric from other sources. And with magnets, if you have one magnet attracting another, there was work that was just done, was that second magnet lifted up about a centimeter. And people think, let's use a motor, use that energy and power things and keep running off magnets. What the problem is that energy that you had to do that is the same amount of energy you take to pull them away. And it's the same way with perpetual motion. You can't power things with springs. As the spring unleashes its energy, that's great, but to get it out to the starting point, so that's something that is a common misunderstanding of people that promote this kind of stuff. And there's no end of ridiculous ideas that wheels that turn forever and so forth to solve all our problems. Now, in the world that Professor teaches of physics, there's explanations for all this stuff.